When
I
Sarah
have to
and I
say,
got
these cookies
married,
are
I truly
amazing.
believed I
Thank
had
you. I'm
found
glad
the
you're
person
enjoying
I
them.
would spend the
Really
rest
am.
of my
Have
life
another.
with. She had a warm smile, a soft voice, and a way of making every ordinary moment feel special. In the
I
early
can't believe
days of our
this. How
marriage,
could
everything
they?
So sorry,
felt
I didn't
perfect.
know.
We
This
lived in a
changes
small
everything. I'm
apartment, nothing
heartbroken.
fancy, but it was ours. Every evening we would sit together in the kitchen, talking about our dreams for the future. I worked long hours at my job. The work was tiring, but I didn't mind because I had a goal. I wanted to build a stable life for us. Every month, I carefully set aside part of my salary into a savings account. I skipped expensive dinners, avoided unnecessary shopping, and sometimes even worked extra shifts. Sarah often told me how proud she was of my dedication. "Our future is going to be amazing," she would say with a smile. After 3 years of marriage, my savings had grown into a significant amount. It wasn't millions, but it was everything I had worked for. I planned to use it for a down payment on a house so we could finally move into a place we truly owned. One evening, I came home from work and immediately noticed something was wrong. Sarah was sitting quietly on the couch, staring at the floor. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. "What happened?" I asked, worried. She hesitated for a moment before speaking. "It's my brother," she said softly. "He's in trouble." According to her, her brother had found an opportunity to start a small business with some friends. It could change his life, but he needed money quickly to secure the deal. Banks wouldn't approve a loan in time, and he had nowhere else to turn. "I know it's a lot to ask," she said, her voice trembling. "But if we help him now, he promised he'll pay us back in a few months. Maybe even more." I stayed silent for a while, thinking carefully. That money represented years of sacrifice. But Sarah looked so desperate, so worried about her brother. I trusted her completely. "If you believe this will help him," I finally said, "then we'll help." Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of relief. She hugged me tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea how much this means." The next day, I transferred my entire savings to the account she gave me. Watching the balance drop to zero felt strange, but I reminded myself that family helps family. For the next few weeks, everything seemed normal. Sarah was loving, affectionate, and grateful. She cooked my favorite meals, left sweet notes on the table, and often thanked me again for helping her brother. But slowly, little things began to change. She started going out more often, saying she needed to meet friends. Sometimes she stepped outside to take phone calls, speaking in a quiet voice. When I asked simple questions, she gave short answers and quickly changed the subject. At first, I ignored the feeling growing in the back of my mind. But deep down, something didn't feel right. At first, I tried to ignore the strange feeling growing inside me. I told myself I was just being paranoid. Sarah had always been loving and supportive, and I trusted her completely. Marriage, after all, is built on trust. So whenever I noticed something unusual, I forced myself to believe there was a simple explanation. But the small changes in her behavior slowly became harder to ignore. She started coming home later than usual. Sometimes she said she had gone out with friends, other times she claimed she was helping her brother sort out his new business. When I asked more questions, she would smile and say, "Don't worry so much. Everything is fine." One evening, I noticed her sitting on the balcony, whispering on the phone. As soon as she saw me walk into the room, she quickly ended the call. "Who was that?" I asked casually. "Oh, just my brother," she replied quickly. "He's dealing with a lot of stress right now." I nodded, trying not to seem suspicious. But something about the way she avoided eye contact made my chest feel heavy. Days turned into weeks. The distance between us kept growing. She spent more time on her phone and less time talking to me. The warm, joyful conversations we used to have at dinner slowly disappeared. One night, I tried to talk to her seriously. "Sarah," I said gently, "is everything really okay? You've been different lately." She sighed and rubbed her forehead. "I'm just tired," she said. "My brother's situation is stressful. Once his business starts running properly, things will calm down." I wanted to believe her. I really did. So I pushed my doubts aside again. Then, exactly 8 weeks after I had given her my savings, everything changed. It was a normal Thursday evening. I came home from work, expecting to smell dinner cooking in the kitchen like usual. But when I opened the door, the apartment was completely silent. "Sarah," I called out. No answer. I walked into the living room. The lights were off. Her favorite blanket was missing from the couch. A strange feeling crept into my stomach. I checked the bedroom next. The closet door was open. Half of the hangers were empty. Her clothes were gone. My heart began to race. I grabbed my phone and called her immediately. The call didn't even ring. Her phone was switched off. At first, I tried to stay calm. Maybe she had gone to visit a friend or family member. Maybe she had an emergency. I kept telling myself there had to be a logical explanation. But as the hours passed, the silence in the apartment felt heavier and heavier. Around midnight, a terrible thought crossed my mind. I rushed to my laptop and logged into our bank account. When the balance appeared on the screen, my stomach dropped. Every single dollar was gone. That was the moment when panic slowly turned into a painful realization. Sarah hadn't just left the apartment. She had disappeared. The first few days after Sarah disappeared felt unreal. I kept expecting the door to open and for her to walk back in like nothing had happened. I told myself there had to be some explanation. Maybe there was an emergency. Maybe something had gone wrong with her brother's business. I kept searching for any reason that would make sense. But deep down, fear and doubt were growing stronger every hour. I tried calling her phone again and again. Each time, it went straight to voicemail. I sent messages asking where she was and if she was safe. None of them were answered. The apartment felt empty without her. Her laughter, her voice, even the small arguments we used to have, everything was suddenly gone. The silence was painful. The next day, I decided to contact her family. I called her parents first. Her mother sounded surprised when I asked where Sarah was. "She's not with you?" she asked. "No," I replied slowly. "She left 2 days ago. I thought maybe she came to visit you." There was a short pause on the phone. "No, we haven't seen her," her mother said. After that call, the situation felt even more confusing. If she wasn't with her family, then where had she gone? I tried calling her brother next, the same brother who supposedly needed my savings for his business. But his phone number was suddenly unavailable. I even drove to the small apartment where he used to live, but the place was locked and empty. It was as if both of them had vanished. For the next 2 weeks, I searched everywhere. I visited places Sarah liked to go, her favorite cafe, the small park where we used to walk on weekends, even the shopping mall she often visited. I asked her friends if they had seen or heard from her. Most of them looked genuinely confused. Others avoided my questions. Every night, I returned home feeling more exhausted and more hopeless. My mind kept replaying every moment of the past few months, trying to find the point where everything started to fall apart. Then one night, something unexpected happened. I was lying on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through social media, trying to distract myself from the stress. Suddenly, a familiar face appeared on my screen. It was Sarah. My heart started pounding as I stared at the photo. She was standing on a beautiful beach, wearing sunglasses and smiling brightly. The ocean waves were behind her, and beside her stood a tall man with his arm around her shoulders. They looked happy. Too happy. My hands began to shake as I read the caption under the photo. "New beginnings with the love of my life." The post had been uploaded by the man standing next to her. In that moment, everything became clear. The tears she had shed that night. The story about her brother's business. The sudden phone calls and secret meetings. It had all been part of a plan. I hadn't just been abandoned. I had been carefully and deliberately betrayed. The shock of seeing Sarah's social media post hit me harder than I could have imagined. I sat on the couch for hours, staring at the screen, unable to move. My heart ached, not just because I had lost my money, but because I had been deceived by someone I loved and trusted completely. Every memory of the past few months suddenly felt like a lie. The tears she had cried, the promises she had made, the stories about her brother, it was all part of a carefully planned deception. For days, I tried to convince myself to take action. I considered contacting the authorities, but I didn't have any proof beyond my empty bank account and a few suspicious behaviors. Her family seemed genuinely unaware, or perhaps unwilling to admit the truth. I felt trapped between anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see her smiling on that beach, happy with someone else while my life felt shattered. But after a week of self-pity and despair, I realized I couldn't let this break me completely. I had worked so hard to build my life, to save for a future, and while I had been betrayed, I was still alive. I still had myself, my health, my mind, and my resilience. I started small. I took long walks to clear my head, began exercising, and focused on my work. Slowly, the anger that had consumed me transformed into determination. Months passed, and I began rebuilding, not just financially, but emotionally. I took on extra shifts, saved diligently, and reminded myself daily that I would recover. Friends who had noticed my decline began checking in on me, offering support and encouragement. I realized that betrayal had taught me something valuable. People may fail you, but you cannot let their actions define your worth or your future. Then, out of the blue, a message appeared on my phone. I almost didn't open it, fearing it would reopen old wounds, but curiosity got the better of me. It was from Sarah. The text was short, almost apologetic. "I'm so sorry. Things didn't work out with him. I lost everything, and I know I hurt you. Can we talk?" For a moment, my fingers hovered over the keyboard. Part of me wanted to reply, to hear what she had to say, to get closure. But another part of me knew better. She had chosen deception once. Why would it be different now? Why should I reopen the door to someone who had caused so much pain and destroyed my trust? I deleted the message. I realized that forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Some betrayals are too deep to heal by returning to the person who caused them. Some losses, as painful as they are, teach you lessons that money cannot buy. I learned that love without honesty is fragile, and trust, once broken, cannot be forced back. Standing on my own, I felt stronger than ever before. My heart was still healing, but it was also wiser. The money I lost could be earned again, but the life lesson I gained, the ability to see through deceit, to value my own self-worth, and to move forward despite betrayal, was priceless. Sarah may have left, but she hadn't defeated me. I had lost a wife, yes, but I had found my resilience, my independence, and a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life. Some doors close, I realized, not to trap you, but to guide you toward a better path, one where your heart remains yours, unbroken by someone who was never truly worthy. And I was finally ready to walk that path.